Eh bien, bonjour à toutes et à tous. Ça fait plaisir de vous retrouver ce soir sur ce dernier épisode, je pense, de HellBlade Sinuous Sacrifice. Je crois qu'on est sur la dernière ligne droite. C'est pas encore certain, mais il y a de fortes chances que ce soit le cas. Mhm. Aurais-je un problème? Non, aucun. Alors, où en étions-nous? Je suppose qu'il faut grimper là-haut.
Mother, I won't let the darkness trick me again. I know you're safe with the gods. I can feel Hela's gaze, searching for secrets inside of me. Secrets that even I can't see. I'm not here to fight my past. I'm here for Dillion. I will fulfill my vow, whatever the cost.
Ah,
The Northmen say the world will
plus que
come
3
to an
glyphes.
end.
Enfin, plus que
They call
3
this
runes, plutôt.
Ragnarok, the destiny of the gods. First, there will be a terrible winter, 3 years long. Then, mankind will turn on itself. Brothers will fight each other to the death, and people will forget what they owe their kindred. Times will be hard. Crimes will be great. It will be an age of axes and swords. The wind will blow through abandoned halls. Wolves will walk where children played. The world will fall into ruin.
Mais la question, c'est par où je dois passer aussi. Que je vais monter, où est-ce que je descends? On va d'abord en bas.
She can see it.
The bridge.
She can't cross
Je
the
crois
bridge.
que c'est
It's
par là.
broken.
She has to fix it.
It's too dangerous.
She's done it before.
She can't fix it.
She's done it before.
She can.
She can.
She'll do it again.
How can she fix it?
How will she do it?
There must be a
Somewhere
way.
you have to try.
She'll never
Ah
make
ouais, il faut que je monte.
She
Je
can
pense
see
qu'il faut
it.
que je monte pour avoir une vision
She can't cross the
globale
bridge.
du
It's
truc.
broken.
She has to fix it.
It's too dangerous.
She's done it before. You have to fight on.
Be powerful.
The final battle. Get his soul back.
It's the final task.
Yes, it is.
Ah, effectivement, ça doit être la fin du jeu.
This isn't just a broken bridge, is it? Mother, you showed me how to see further. To see the hidden wonders in our world and explore new paths into the unknown. To lead so that others may follow, or to warn so that they may avoid. That is our gift and our duty. I'm not going to look away in fear anymore.
The Northmen say the gods will fight their last
Plus
battle
de-
at Ragnarok. Their watchmen will blow the horn that can be heard through the whole world. And Odin will speak with the severed head of Mimir, which gives him good counsel. The land of the giants will thunder with the sound of their army on the move. The gods will assemble. The dwarves will leave their stones. The frost giants will come from the east. The Midgard serpent will turn up the waves. Eagles will scream and tear at the corpses with their yellow beaks. The ship of the dead will set sail.
Bon, allons nous amuser un petit peu. Ah ouais, il y a une ouverture ici. Ok, je vois. Pas un truc à faire avec ça là? Non? Alors, à tous les coups, faut que je monte encore. Ouais, c'est ça. Voilà.
She can do it. She can do it. She
Ah,
can
mais il
still
m'en manque
see
encore en
the
fait.
secrets of the gods. She can think differently. So special. You can do it.
Est-ce
She
que...
must see.
On va
She
essayer.
has the sight.
Je suis pas sûr que ça
She can
passe, mais...
see their secrets.
On peut toujours essayer. Ah bah tiens. Ouais, mais non, faut que j'aille plus loin. Donc en fait, il faut que je passe par là où j'étais. Et que faut que je monte tout en haut. J'aurais dû commencer par là en fait. Et arrivé en haut, je devrais avoir une grosse vision globale. Ou pas. Là, ça sent le traquenard, ça. Ça sent l'arène de combat, ça. Peut-être pas tout de suite, mais sur le retour, il y a des chances. Voilà.
She did it.
She did it. Bon allez, on se prépare. Je le sens. Eh bah tiens. Ok. Ah putain. Foiré.
Quick, behind you. You won. She's ready. You are ready.
Mais allez.
Don't let them surround you.
Putain.
You won. She's weak. She's so weak. They can see you're weak. The mirror. Focus is growing. Focus. It's the only way. Focus. Focus.
Ah, j'ai eu. Ok. Bon, la bataille finale, ce sera
How will she do it?
beaucoup plus compliqué.
What will she do?
De souvenirs, ça va être la grosse galère.
How's she going to find his actual soul? Where does Ella keep the souls?
Non, ce sera un gros boss comme le monstre qu'on a affronté tout à l'heure. Enfin, l'épisode précédent, je veux dire.
She cannot bargain with Hela. She's not strong enough to kill Hela. What does Hela want? No one can bargain with Hela. What does Hela want? What can she give her? She could give her her own soul. No. Her soul's wanting. She'd rather die. It's a worthless soul. But it's all she has to give. She has a warrior soul. What more could she give? A cursed soul. Of course she is, no matter what she does. She can feel the want climbing up her arm. She can find her. There's an illusion.
Ah, voilà.
There's a way. She can sing. She must align herself. She can do it.
Et normalement, au sommet de ce truc, on doit pouvoir faire le dernier morceau du pont.
It's there.
Je viens normalement. Ah.
The Northmen say that at Ragnarok,
Quelqu'un.
the gods will face a ship full of their foes, which Loki has steered to Asgard. It carries the fire giants, the wolf that will eat the sun, and all kinds of dark creatures. Surt will join them with his sword of fire. The cliffs will crash, trolls will walk the land, men will tread the road to hell, and the heavens will split open.
Hmm. Ah oui, par là. Hop là. On va ouvrir la porte là, tant qu'à faire. Ça c'est fait. Voilà. Ah, le dernier.
The Northmen say that each god will
Et
do
voilà.
battle at Ragnarok. Odin will fight the monstrous wolf and be killed, but his son will avenge him and plunge his sword into the heart of the beast. Freyr will face Surt, but he had given his sword away for love, and without it, he cannot defend himself against the flames. Thor will smite the Midgard serpent to no avail. The sun will grow black. The earth will sink into the sea, the stars will disappear, fire and water will meet, steam will shoot up, flames will play against the sky, the heavens and earth and all the world will be burned, all the gods will be dead, and the warriors of Valhalla and the people everywhere. Senua.
Ragnarok approche.
Ragnarok. For it is nigh.
Bon bah comme d'hab hein. Ouais, il y en a deux. Waouh. enfoiré. Et bim. Je peux pas test. Je viens d'où en fait? Je viens de là. Ok. Cette fois, c'est la bonne. Voilà, on va pouvoir traverser pour le boss final. Ouais, comme d'hab. Ouch. Ah ouais, d'accord. Ouch. Waouh, 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 waouh. Allez, relève-toi vite. Vite. Voilà. Hey, hey.
It's nearly over. Finish it. Finished it. Behind you.
Allez, laissez-moi me barrer,
Behind you.
putain.
Behind you.
Putain de merde. Mais allez!
Get up quick. It's not over. It's not over. You keep going. He's gone.
Putain d'enfoiré. Je suis sur un pont, foutez-moi la paix. Putain.
Finish this. Finish this. She's hurt. She's injured. We're winning. Behind you. Behind you.
Putain, il y en a partout.
Surprise him. Behind you.
Mais allez, je peux pas esquiver là. Non? Wow.
It's not over. It's not over. Get out of the way.
Allez, allez, allez. Voilà. Mais allez, putain. T'es sérieux, hein?
She can focus inside. Behind you. Behind you. Watch it. I can sense her. She's going to die. I'm scared. Wait. She sacrifices herself. She sacrifices herself. We don't want to die. Stop. Turn back. It's too dangerous.
Allez, boss final. Moi, je pense.
Wait,
What?
what happens when she dies?
What happens to us?
What happens to us?
We die too.
Do we die too?
We
I
die
don't want
too.
to die.
I don't want to.
We'll all die someday.
I don't want to die.
And when everyone's gone, even the gods will die.
We don't want to die.
I don't want to die.
Senua, stop.
Senua,
Turn back.
Stop. Stop her.
Why is she
I'm going. Stop.
Senua,
Stop.
Senua,
What
stop.
happens to us?
Stop her. Why would she stop to die? She won't stop. 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 I don't want to die.
I'm sorry. I didn't ask you to be a part of me. If you don't want to die with me, then leave me alone.
I don't want to die. Please stop. 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 You'll never come back if you go there.
There is nothing to go back to.
We only have each other now. Don't abandon me.
Everyone suffers. They were right about me.
Listen to me, not them. They are afraid. Like children scared of the dark.
So was I.
They made up monsters to fill the void. That doesn't make them real.
They made them real.
No!
Follow your soul and let go of the Senua of old. For there lies your weakness, and the darkness will find it.
noble warrior facing evil in search of victory and honor. Clear dividing lines. No. Oh, this place is not quite like that. It's as if it knows that true torment lies within. Memories you cannot defeat, cannot escape. This is her hell.
The man I was before Druth. Was a true coward, Senua. I was well traveled. I spoke both their tongue and ours. So they took me as a slave. I thought I could help to broker peace. Or at least stay their hands from slaughter. But under torture, I did no such thing. I led them to the treasures and slaves they sought. But I wasn't the only one. Another came to the Northmen willingly, offering a bargain, a man in black from your lands. And he was offered safe passage for his treason. In the end, Senua, it isn't the gods that cause us so much suffering, but those closest to us.
I'm here for Delia.
Et les sous-titres, c'est pour les chiens. Bon.
Do you see it, Senua? Do you see the darkness? Faces fear and suffering.
I can see it.
I remember it clearly now.
She has nothing to fear anymore. The gods have saved your mother. Through my hand.
You killed her.
It is the will of the gods.
Fuck the gods! You did this to her! Why?
This is what happens when you listen to the voices of the underworld. They crawl into your soul and rot you from the inside. Defy the gods like your mother, and the darkness will come for you too. Do you understand, Senua?
I do understand. You cursed me with your own madness. I was just a child. You created this darkness! created this darkness so you could hide behind it.
Only suffering brings salvation. It is the way of the gods.
Oh.
It was all a lie. You are a lie! She didn't defy the gods. She defied you. And so you killed her.
Oh, joli.
You didn't pray to the gods. You prayed to your mother.
Taillou.
Your mother, who was too weak to fight the darkness and abandoned you.
You tortured her. You killed her. You are the darkness.
Oh. Oh, déjà, je prends cher.
Chills, the years of isolation, the pain that still haunts you. It was the only way to fight the curse within you. The darkness is inside you and it will destroy you.
You're a liar!
No, Senua. The darkness is here. You cannot wish it away. And it will watch as you draw your last dying gasp.
Non.
I won't let you kill me.
Eh ouais. Eh ouais.
Behind you. Listen.
Ouh, chut.
Behind you. Behind you.
Allez tous crever.
Behind you.
I can see through your darkness. You're a liar and a murderer. And if you really are Hela, then I have a sword here that can kill a god.
Look at you. Running forward, moving backwards to wallow in your miserable past. You're making a mistake searching for Dillion. The same mistake that killed him in the first place.
Je vais encore prendre cher.
I'm trying to save you from yourself. You still believe it is a lie? The plague of darkness, the butchering of Dillion by the Northmen. You saw it yourself.
You told everyone I was cursed. They believed you. I believed you.
Tell me, Senua, where is Dillion's soul if the darkness is a lie? How you saved him?
Oh, certes.
He's here. I know he's here.
Eh ouais, relève-toi.
Dillion, I know you're here. Hold on. I'll find
Allez. Il y a le monstre de Silent Hill, c'est marrant.
Dillian! Where is he? You're trying to trick me again with your lies. I know he's here. You took him from me. You have him.
Dillian is gone. Dillian is dead. Let him go now. I'm warning you.
Or what? What can he do to me that you haven't already? Fight me.
Wow,
Come on.
wow, 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 wow.
You betrayed your own father. You betrayed the gods in search of Dillian, in search of love. Look where that's got you. Let go of your battle. Let go of redemption. Let go of Dillian. Don't let your darkness hurt anyone else.
Watch out.
Ouh.
Watch out.
Hmm. Oula. Allez, relève-toi, relève-toi. Voilà.
Watch out.
Ah. Oh. Ah, c'est Whistler.
Watch out.
Allez.
Watch out. Behind you. Behind you.
Allez, relève-toi.
Go off your battle. Let go of Dillian.
C'est ta choix.
You're killing yourself.
Oh. Ah, j'étais obligé de mourir en fait. Ah, je pouvais toujours combattre.
you've done to me? And to him? You're not a lie, but you're a liar! You crawled into me to confuse me and deceive me. But I know he's here. I know you have him. I'll give you my life. That's what you want, isn't it? My soul. Take it. I'll be a slave for you. I'll fight with you at Ragnarok.
On passe par toutes les étapes du deuil. Hein. On s'énerve, on veut tuer, on négocie, on supplie, et après, bah on accepte. Résignation, voilà. L'acceptation, comment c'est selon.
No power over me.
Oula. Ça y est, c'est fini. Ou presque.
I learned the hard way to not be afraid of death, Sarah. Because a life without loss is one without love. You turn your back on death, and all you can see is the shadow that it casts. The longer you hide from it, the longer the shadow grows until all you can see is darkness. When our time comes, we must look death in the eye and embrace it as a friend. Only then can we let go of our fear. And emerge from our darkness.
Ah, la déesse, elle. Elle a. Je sais plus comment on l'appelle. Elle, je crois que c'est elle. H-E-2-L.
Never forget what it is like to see the world as a child.
Non, c'est E-2-L, je crois. Il n'y a pas de H.
It's like a work of art. Every rolling cloud a moving picture. Every day a new story. We too emerge from this magic, like a wave from the ocean, only to return to the sea.
Et ouais. L'acceptation.
Do not mourn the waves, the leaves, and the clouds. Even in darkness, the wonder and the beauty of this world never leaves us. It is always there, waiting to be seen again.
Les voix sont revenues. Ça, c'est Ella.
Oh no. Oh. It's the rot. The darkness is behind the darkness.
Ah ouais, mais elle a toujours la marque.
Wait. 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 What is it? It feels. It's different. It feels. Is it okay?
This is where my story once began. And so it has to end here.
Ah non, la
Because I
marque
cannot
disparaît, non?
see further than this.
Follow us. We have another story to tell.
My friend, go with her. This now will be your story to witness. Goodbye.
I know it's hard to tell
Hmm,
how mixed up you feel.
franchement pas mal. J'aurais franchement bien kiffé qu'il nous fasse une suite où on l'accompagne dans l'autre monde là. Pourquoi je sais pas, mais
Cause everyone has hopes. You're human after all. The feeling sometimes wishing you were someone else. Feeling as though you never belong. This feeling is not sadness. This feeling is not joy. I truly understand. Please don't cry now.
ah, je peux pas quitter. Je suis obligé de garder le générique. Bah, avec un peu de bol, qui sait, il y a peut-être un Easter egg à la fin. Je vais laisser passer histoire de voir. Pour ceux qui veulent rester, bah, bienvenue. Puis bah, pour ceux qui veulent partir, bah écoutez, bonne continuation. N'hésitez pas à follow, à laisser un like, un abonnement. Et pour ceux qui restent, bah, on va continuer, on va écouter la jolie musique et puis on va attendre voir ce qu'il y a après. Il y a peut-être rien, hein, je sais pas.
keep the Pictish barbarians at bay. The Picts were known for their war paint, painted on with woad, and their matted hair clumped with lime. And so Senua would be a barbarian Pict in this image.
What's your name?
Ah, c'est une Picte.
Senua,
Oui, ça y
I
ressemble.
haven't seen you before.
I don't leave home much.
Oh, Zeno's daughter.
I have to go.
Wait.
Orkney is off the coast of Scotland and was inhabited by the Picts, steeped in history and mystery, and so I made Orkney Senua's home and set the stage for a crisis. In the late 8th century, the first Vikings landed on the Orkney Islands. The population of the Picts crashed thereafter, replaced by the Norsemen of the 9th century.
Les épées.
Were they wiped out? We don't know for sure, but it would seem likely given the reputation of the Vikings. The Northmen's brutality is legendary. High-ranking leaders and chieftains of the tribes they conquered were often offered as sacrifice to their gods. The most brutal of these sacrifices was known as the Blood Eagle. I imagine Senua as a young female warrior who returns home from exile to find her partner, Dillion, brutally sacrificed to a Norse god by these hellish warriors from a faraway land. I imagine the horror of this moment and how it would have dragged her deep into mental torment.
No!
I came to learn that the Celts had a sophisticated and nuanced perspective on the nature of mental disorder. One term they used was Gelt. A Gelt is a man or woman who has been driven mad by a curse, battle trauma, or grief. The Gelt would take to a life in the woods in search of penance, punishment, and purgation. And so Senua became a Gelt, cursed by darkness, looking for redemption in the wilds. Another word the Celts used in reference to mental disorders was druth, meaning fool, or
Liar.
one who utters the words of God. They tell of the mad
Ah, et
seer
le
who
scotch
flees
qui
battle
pend, en
into
fait,
exile
c'est
and
là
takes
pour
on a beastly
montrer
nature,
que la
growing
tête de
feathers on
Sinuas
its
est là, en
body.
fait.
The character called Druth in HellBlade is based on a little-known person called Findan, an 8th century Irish Celt who was captured and enslaved by the Vikings, but eventually escaped to Orkney where he became a monk.
I will tell you my stories of hell, if I may walk with you.
Upon meeting Senua, it would be his stories that fuel her quest deep into their world of gods.
The Northmen say the world will come to an end. The sun will grow black, the earth will sink into the sea, the stars will disappear, fire and water will meet, flames will play against the sky, the heavens and earth and all the world will be burned, all the gods will be dead, and the warriors of Valhalla and people everywhere. Senua, prepare yourself for Ragnarok, for it is nigh.
So the stage was set for a new adventure, a journey into the Norse underworld called Hell, a vision
Ah, la
quest
motion
fueled by
capture,
madness and myth,
de classe.
a fantasy that was created by Senua's own mind, and one that we would experience through her eyes.
This is your mission. This is your quest. There is nothing else left.
To make a game about a warrior with psychotic mental illness as its central theme was fraught with danger. Mental illness, such as psychosis, is still taboo and rarely acknowledged in a century of cinema, never mind the new medium of games. Where it does feature, it often conflates psychosis and psychopathy, associated with a lack of empathy. It is unfortunate that these two words sound so similar that they are used interchangeably in media. I must admit that I didn't have to look very far to discover my own ignorance of the subject. So we reached out to Paul Fletcher, psychiatrist and professor of health neuroscience at University of Cambridge.
Psychosis is a descriptive term, and it refers to having a loss of contact with objective reality. So it's characterized by two main sets of symptoms. One of them is hallucinations, where somebody experiences perceptions when there is no actual objective thing out there to perceive.
Who are you?
and the other is delusions, where somebody comes to very often bizarre, unpleasant, frightening beliefs when there's no good evidence in favour of them.
There's no doubt about it. The source of the darkness is in Helheim, and the goddess Hela holds his soul there.
We reached out to Welcome, a biomedical research charity that spends billions on research and awareness programs aimed at improving health.
Mental health hasn't always been presented in the media in a way that is particularly helpful. It can be challenging to engage people with the subject matter, and there are a lot of preconceived ideas about mental health, and particularly schizophrenia and psychosis. So we hope our support allows the team to continue to collaborate with Paul Fletcher and with those who have experience of psychosis to create a game that provides a fresh perspective on the condition and allows audiences to engage with it in a way that just wouldn't be possible in any other medium.
What started out as a brief consultation convinced me that we were only scratching the surface of an immensely deep and interesting subject that could enrich and change the very nature of the game.
That's cool. Thanks so much for coming here.
Pleasure. Thanks. It's really interesting for me. I'd love to be involved. It's fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our understanding of psychosis is still very much a mystery, and ways of treating it are still primitive compared to physical illness. After all,
on a
it's
vu vite
easy to
fait le
see the pain
modèle,
and suffering caused
comme
by
sur le
physical
fan art.
diseases or physical trauma. It is not so easy to see the mental suffering and trauma of severe mental illness. But what if we could find a way to see it? Games are capable of
L'artwork
drawing
du
you in
début.
for hours on end, playing the role of a character who is different from you, experiencing their perspective, and actively involving you in a world that functions with a different set of rules. If we were to represent Senua's psychosis, we would have to simulate voice hearing, a common attribute. But how can we simulate something we have no first-hand experience of? Professor Charles Fernyhough, a leading expert in voice hearing from Durham University, offered his help.
Hearing voices is an experience that is usually associated with severe mental illness, and crucially we know that hearing voices is a part of ordinary life for many people who don't meet the criteria for mental illness.
Yeah. Oh, that's not him in real life.
We know voices vary according to where they appear in space. Voices can appear far away in the distance, they can appear right there in your ear, they can seem to be coming from inside your head.
Ah, c'est les voix dans la tête.
I put together a
Excellent.
sound brief and invited some actors to the studio. We recorded the actors using a binaural microphone, which records the 3D spatial position of sound, replicating
Ah
the way
ouais.
sound is heard by
Comme
human
si en
ears.
fait
It
les
gives you an
oreilles en fait
incredible
étaient
sense that the
signora
person you are listening to is
il
right there
s'approchait
beside
d'elle.
you.
Excellent.
Rachel Waddingham from the Voice Collective came to our studio with 2 young voice hearers to speak to our team. We talked at length about their experiences, and they listened to our tests, giving us feedback on how we could improve on it.
Everyone hates her. She's cursed.
It's very
Oh,
hard
cette
to
voix.
represent what this experience is like, partly because it's such
Il avait
a
vraiment cette
personal,
voix.
intense, emotional experience. It's testament to how Ninja Theory have been listening to what the researchers are saying, but also crucially listening to the experts by experience. What they've come up with is so compelling. It's by far the best representation I've heard of what these experiences are like.
Other common attributes of psychosis are visions and flashbacks. We met with Recovery College East, who work with and care for people recovering from severe mental disorders. A group of service users gave us their first-hand account of what they experience.
Sometimes when the vision or what we're seeing is too much, it becomes more difficult until eventually we perhaps don't see anything.
The people we spoke to, the stories they told, were fascinating, harrowing and mind-boggling. The reality of what people experienced was vivid, far exceeding what I could possibly have imagined. We went away itching to represent some of these visions and flashbacks in the game.
As we all know, my heart is so, love is so far away. Don't you know how I wanna feel deeper? I could never know how you grow, all these days are killing me. Now I see deep in me, insanity does unfold. I just wanna feel deeper, deeper. I just just wanna feel deeper, deeper. As we all know, my heart is so, love is so far away. Don't you know how I wanna feel deeper? I could never know how you grow, all these days are killing me. Feel like this, read like this, I just wanna live, that's all. I just wanna feel deeper, deeper. I just wanna feel deeper, deeper.
To refine our work, we continue to hold meetings with Recovery College East over the course of a year and a half, showing them what we had achieved so far and refining the in-game representations based on their feedback. With their help, flashbacks, visions and changes in perception were woven into the story and gameplay of Senua.
The students that are involved in this project are incredibly excited about being involved. They have described the experience as being important because it values their lived experience and shows that despite what we have been through, all of that experience becomes valid, that actually it's something that we should all be talking about.
The experiences described range from beautiful to frightening beyond comprehension. I heard of a girl who has to live with an angry voice screaming at her, slamming on her doors and walls 24 hours a day. I met someone who would often see hanging corpses in a room, so real that she would sometimes try to rescue them. The panic and fear that comes with such visions is entirely understandable, and it can be a living horror for some.
Worthless, weak, pathetic. Go on, feel sorry for yourself, because there's no one left to do that for you.
I was urged by one fellow that we should not shy away from showing this horror, and so I was perpetually torn in making HellBlade. Had we gone too far with our representations or not far enough?
Broken and lost. Just like your sword.
Come on.
In some ways, voice hearing and visions were the low-hanging fruit, so to speak. There's another aspect of psychosis that is much harder to explain, but one that I think video games are uniquely able to represent, which are often called delusions.
People begin to see patterns in the world. They begin to link things that most people wouldn't link. Most of the things that we might think would be coincidence or, not worth commenting on. Nevertheless, that might have a particular salience or importance for them.
One individual described how everyday words, sounds, colours and objects were steeped in meaning to him, forming a strange and sinister puzzle that he was determined to solve but could not quite get to the bottom of.
It's not just brain dysfunction. It's not like the system shut down. It's actually an incredibly creative process. The person creates a world populated with voices and phantasms and terrors, and they're completely immersed in it. They believe in it.
We often invite people into the studio to play the game. In one of our playtests, they played through much of the game, making associations between runes, secret messages, and the threat of darkness that stalked them. There are many things that happen in the world of HellBlade that make perfect sense within the context of Senua's mind. The dark rot that's killing her slowly from within, the secret runes of the gods that block her path to Helheim, and strange associations that exist in the game to confuse you. To complete Senua's quest, you have to internalize and accept the logic and meaning behind these things to progress. Afterwards they said that they didn't see much evidence of mental illness in the game. People with delusions of all sorts would argue the same thing, that they are not aware of their experience being abnormal in any way.
I need this sword. It's important.
Representing perception changes and thinking patterns within HellBlade gives us a set of symptoms common in psychosis. But people with lived experience were keen to emphasize another point, that it is wrong to define a person by their symptoms. Quite often, the illness comes not from the symptoms, but from the stigma, isolation and mistreatment that comes about from the rest of society.
They say that I'm cursed. What if they're right?
I needed someone to portray Senua, someone who could believably internalize her suffering. Melina Jurgens, our video editor, had been a stand-in
Ah,
for
la
Senua
voilà.
over a few months while we perfected our motion capture techniques. Without realizing it, she had already auditioned for the role, and I knew her well enough to know that I didn't have to teach her to act, but to relive her own internal pain. As often is the case, those who have suffered mental anguish are never far from us. My hope is that by creating a compelling and aspirational character in Senua who feels very much real, albeit in a fantasy setting, we can provide a lens into her reality, a different one to yours, and this is where storytelling comes into play. I imagined her life based on common threads in real people's lives. She was always prone to psychosis as a child. Her mother Galina also heard voices and had visions, so perhaps there was a genetic aspect. Or perhaps it was cultural, as she lived within a world without science, of gods and a superstition, as exemplified by her druid father Zimbal. Psychosis developed in her late teens to early 20s and was exacerbated by stigma and isolation at the hands of the clansmen and her father.
This darkness. It's spreading.
The trauma of seeing her lover Dillian sacrificed tips her over the edge, making her remodel her reality around a concept that connects everything: the darkness. So the question is, what Senua experiences real? Can only be answered by saying, yes, it is real. It is her reality.
All of her suffering will have been for nothing. It's just a matter of time.
Ouais, d'une certaine manière, c'est... Oui.
Towards the end of the project, service users and professionals that had collaborated with us were invited to see the near-final game. It was a chance to see if the game had reflected their views or if it had misrepresented them.
For me, being involved in especially developing Senua's character has been really important, and being able to bring in my perspective and what I see and what I hear, and having that built into the game has been a real privilege. It's gritty and it's meaty, and there are some tough subjects in there that are being tackled with honesty.
I was blown away by it today, absolutely blown away. It was just fantastic to get the opportunity to use our lived experience in a very creative way. There's nothing tokenistic about the work we've put in. It feels like we've been listened to, things have been taken on board, and I think there was a lot of realism in the game itself, and it feels very authentic.
HellBlade will give people a good experience of what it's like to hear voices and have those experiences. I'm glad that the guys at Ninja Theory kind of asked us to come along and help them build an experience that's positive when it comes out, and get myself a copy and have a go.
I think all the way through I was really inspired by how the conversations have translated into the game in a way that I think I didn't imagine was possible. So wonderful, really wonderful.
I really hope that others will follow the lead they've set and use the power of something like a video game to change people's perceptions, to increase understanding, and ultimately to make some of the stigma around voice hearing and other experiences go away.
For me, it was really exciting to see something that I explore scientifically being represented so beautifully in a character who's trying to penetrate
En VR, ça
the
doit
mysteries
être
of the
énorme.
environment in which they've been placed.
Il va falloir que j'investisse dans un Oculus, Oculus ou le HTC Vive. Franchement, je pense que c'est vraiment énorme.
I think it actually might be offering us insights that we wouldn't get from pure scientific explorations, and actually giving us quite an empathic view of what it might be like.
Mental illness has been with us for as long as we have been on this planet, but why? Why hasn't evolution stamped out this weakness from within our gene pool? I often pondered this question until I realized that the question had an inbuilt flaw. It assumes that being and thinking differently is a weakness. The only reason we have computers, spacecraft, medicine, poetry, art, and yes, even video games is because individuals are able to simulate new abstract realities in their minds and share them with the rest of us. We need people to be willing to see differently in order for us to progress and survive as society. And we need to be open to these new ways of seeing. And it is this spirit that motivated me to create Senua's story and share it with you.
Trop la classe. Ils font de la prévention en plus. Et bien voilà, j'espère que ça vous aura plu. Même ce petit bonus. Voilà, c'était HellBlade. On va s'arrêter là pour ce soir pour le stream en tout cas. On se retrouve demain, même heure, pour un nouveau let's play, une nouvelle aventure. J'espère que celle-ci vous aura plu. N'hésitez pas à follow, à poser un petit commentaire, à vous abonner, la petite cloche, ça fait toujours plaisir. Et moi je vous dis à demain soir, passez une bonne soirée. Ciao à tous.